Hey guys, this is Will at Third and Long. Welcome to my AP Poll Top 25 reaction video for Week 10. The poll just came out, so we'll be looking at who went up, who went down, and this is for Week 10 of the 2023 college football season. So let's go ahead and get started looking at where every team came in for this poll. So coming in at number 1, getting 48 first place votes, we have the Georgia Bulldogs. So they're still holding on to that number 1 spot since the year began. They are 8-0. They had a very good win this past weekend, but to be honest, it was a game that they were favored in. So they beat Florida 43-20. They controlled the game. After the first possession, Florida scored, and then basically Georgia completely controlled the game from that point forward. Florida did get some garbage time points in the fourth quarter, but the big thing here was Brock Bowers was out, and it did not affect the offense at all. Carson Beck had a very good game, and they finally got the running game going, so a very good win for Georgia. Will they be number 1 when the college football playoff poll comes out? I don't know, but as of right now, I'm fine with them being number 1. If not them, then it would be the team that comes in at number 2. So coming in at 2, we have Michigan with 9 first-place votes. They are 8-0. They did have the bye week this week, so obviously they didn't do anything. They do have the whole Harbaugh scandal going out. I don't honestly think it's going to affect them this year because the NCAA does have to give the team a 90-day notice when they're going to give them a penalty. So if they were to do that, that basically pushes it into 2024. So the year would be over by that point. I would not be surprised, though, if Harbaugh does potentially leave to go pro. He has flirted with that every single year. I think he's sick of the NCAA, and I do not blame him because it looks like they pretty much have it out for him. But I'm fine with Michigan being number 2. I think as of right now, they are the number 1 team so far. 1, 2, it doesn't really matter till that college football playoff poll comes out this week. Coming in at number 3, we have Ohio State. They did get 3 first place votes. They are 8-0. They had a win versus Wisconsin this past weekend, and it was a really sloppy game for both teams. So they have the best resume so far. They have 2 top 15 wins. They've beat Notre Dame. They've beaten Penn State. So they have the best win so far. But the team has not looked good so far. Kyle McCord is still honestly stinking up the game. He is not a good quarterback. He's the weakness on the team, and he is the starting quarterback. They have one of the best defenses in the country. They have a top 3 defense. They are shutting people down. He has the best wide receiver core, if not second to best, next to Washington, but it's 1 or 2. He has so many weapons. He throws picks. He's not accurate. The ball sails. People keep saying, oh, well, he gets 250 to 300 passing yards per game. That's not good when you have an elite defense forcing every team to go 3 and out every single possession, and he has Marvin Harrison Jr., loaded weapons, and he gets 150 yards every single game. That's basically half of Kyle McCord's passing yards. It's just, he's the glaring weakness here. So they should be number 1, but due to his issues, that's what's holding them back, even with their resume. So I'm fine with them being 3, because if they played any of these top 5 teams, I would pick them to lose. So that's why they're not number 1. But still a very good team. Coming in at 4, we have Florida State getting 3 first place votes. So Florida State looked really good this past weekend, got a really good win. They look good on both sides of the ball. A very complete performance. They had actually lost 3 straight years to Wake Forest, so they finally got over that hurdle. They beat them pretty good, 41-16, so they stayed in at that number 4 spot. So none of the teams have moved so far, but really good performance from Florida State, and they're looking really strong right now going into these last couple games of the regular season. Coming in at 5, we have Washington Huskies, 8-0, 0 first place votes. That was a really ugly game that they played versus Stanford. So they were favored to win. They did win 42-33, but that was atrocious. Not a good performance at all. I'm actually surprised that they didn't fall down there. Where was the defense at? They were giving up a lot of yards to Stanford, not playing their best game. Penix, though, did pass the ball. They look really good there, but they had some pretty sloppy turnovers. This is back-to-back weeks now. They barely beat, I think it was Arizona State last weekend, like 15-7, and then they come out and laid another egg this weekend, but at least the offense got going. But what's up with the defense? So that's a glaring issue right now, and they still have no run game. They definitely deserve to be in the top 5 as of right now, but there's some weaknesses there. Coming in at number 6, we have Oregon. 7-1, they moved up 2 spots. So I did pick them to beat the brakes off of Utah, and they did. Utah was a fraud. Very good defense. Kyle Whittingham, great coach, great special teams, really tough team, but they have absolutely no offense, and it finally caught up with them. So Oregon right now looks like one of the most rounded teams in the country, like right next to Michigan. They look good on both sides of the ball. Very physical team. They can run. They can throw. Bo Nix is back in that Heisman conversation right now in that top 3. And they cannot wait to potentially get a rematch with Washington. They are where they should be, and they will keep climbing if they keep playing this way. Coming in at number 7, we have Texas Longhorns. So they didn't move up. They didn't move down. They stayed where they were. That was perfectly fine. They had a very good win this weekend. Even without Quinn Ewers, they beat BYU 35-6. So Murphy he kind of started out slow, but they got the game going. They relied on their defense and their run game. They are just on the outside looking. So if they continue to win out and they get to the Big 12 championship and they win, then they will definitely be in the playoffs. Coming in at number 8, we have Alabama, 7-1. They moved up 1 spot. They did have the bye week, so they were off. They've been very quiet this year, so they're kind of slowly moving up. They have a really big game this weekend, though. They have LSU this weekend, so they might be moving up. They might be moving down, but they definitely can't jump Texas because Texas beat the brakes off of them at the beginning of the season. So they're right where they should be, right behind Texas. Coming in at number 9, we have Penn State at 7-1. They moved up 1 spot. I think it's actually kind of surprising that they moved up because they looked really bad this weekend. They did win versus the Indiana Hoosiers. They definitely did not cover the spread, but they won 33-24. But they didn't actually win the game till the very end of the 4th quarter. It was a very slow game. The Hoosiers were in it the whole game, and that's not good. Penn State's biggest problem, they have a top 10 defense, but they have absolutely no vertical weapons that can push the ball down the field. That's their biggest issue, but they should have played better. But they were coming off of a very emotional loss to the Buckeyes the previous weekend. So maybe they were just caught off guard this week. Doesn't really matter. They got through the week. They did get the win. So really, I'm fine with them being number 9, but they definitely could have fallen a couple more spots, possibly. Coming in at number 10, we have Oklahoma, 7-1, falling 4 spots. I am surprised they didn't boot them right out of the top 10. This is like back-to-back, like the last 2 to 3 weeks. Their defense has sucked, and they have not played well. They almost lost to UCF last weekend, and it caught up with them. Too many close games. It's eventually going to catch up with you, and they lost to Kansas at Kansas this past weekend. Really sloppy game. They lost 38-33, but props to Kansas. Oklahoma's issue is they can't run the ball. They really have no running back number 1. Their leading rusher has like 450 yards, and the season's almost over. That's not good. Too much pressure on Dillon Gabriel, and the defense has completely fallen off the rails. But look for them to hopefully get things back on track. They have Oklahoma State coming up, and they are definitely going to play them tough. So they're number 10. I wouldn't have been surprised if they would have fallen to like 12 or 13. Coming in at number 11, we have Ole Miss at 7-1. So Ole Miss beat Vanderbilt 33-7. I think at one point they were up like 28-0 or something, but very good win. You know, they didn't have to do much here. Rest the starters, get through the game completely, and just continue to run the table. Do I think they are a top 11 team? You know, no, but they continue to win. So props to Lane Kiffin. I do love Lane Kiffin, so I'm really happy for them here. Their only loss was to Bama, and that was a pretty decent game. But I don't think they're going to finish the year there, but this is the best season that they've had in a really long time, probably since the Hugh Freeze years. Coming in at 12, we have Notre Dame. So Notre Dame just completely curb stomped Pittsburgh. So they won 58-7, and that's a high-scoring game, but it was mostly done by the defense and the run game. They continue to look better every single week since their 2-game losing streak. They did move up 2 spots. They are 7-2. A really strong performance, and I think they are right where they should be right now at number 12. Coming in at 13, we have LSU at 6-2. They moved up 2 spots. They were actually off this past weekend, and that's perfect for them because they have Bama coming up. Bama had a bye week. They had a bye week. both teams should be completely rested and ready for the game of the weekend for Week 10. They are where they should be as of right now. They had that bad loss versus Florida State. They had the loss versus Ole Miss, but their defense has been getting better ever since they lost to Ole Miss, and they've been gradually getting better every single week. Jayden Daniels probably right now is the Heisman frontrunner. If he beats Bama, he will definitely be the Heisman frontrunner. Coming in at 14, we have Missouri. They had the bye week 2. They are 7-1. They moved up 2 spots. They're having a very strong season so far this year. They are the main competition to Georgia in the SEC East. They're 7-1. Really good a record so far this year. So I'm fine with them being where they are. They do have, possibly some potential tough games coming up versus Georgia. So they might fall back, but to be 7-1 in Week 10, and they started the year unranked, that's pretty good. Coming in at 15, we have the Louisville Cardinals. So Louisville shut Duke out. Riley Leonard, unfortunately, was not healthy, so they're not back, but really strong win for Louisville. They are 7-1. They moved up 3 spots. I don't blame them. They beat a very good Duke team, shut them out. That's pretty bad. So props to Louisville. I'm fine with them being 15. They do have that one loss where they got beat by Pitt. But outside of that, they've beaten Notre Dame. So they have a top 12 win. So that really pads the record right now. So they are where they should be. Coming in at number 16, we have Oregon State. So they did lose this past weekend, 27-24 versus Arizona. But Arizona is a really tough team. I said do not overlook Arizona. They've played everybody really close. Washington, Trojans, played them all close. Really tough offense. They beat Oregon State. Oregon State fell 5 spots. Let's be honest. They should have fallen a whole lot more. They should not be number 16 at 6-2. I'd have probably dropped them down to number 20. They lost to an unranked Arizona team. They should have fallen further. But nonetheless, they are still having a really good season. So props to them. This is the last year of the Pac-12, and they are going for back-to-back 10-win seasons, but they should have fallen further. Coming in at 17, we have Air Force. 8-0. They did move up 2 spots. They beat Colorado State 30-13. Larry Air having a great game, a great season so far. They can run the ball. They can control the clock. They could potentially finish the year undefeated at 12-0. They're not going to get in the playoffs because they have a very weak schedule, but they moved up 2 spots, and they should continue to climb as they continue to win. Coming in at 18, we have Utah, 6-2. They fell 5 spots. I've said since week 1, this is a 18-22 ranked team, and they're finally starting to get where they should be. They've been completely overrated the whole season. Very good team. I am not knocking them. Great defense, great coach, great special teams, putrid offense, especially without Cam Rising. He's out the whole year. He's probably going to redshirt, maybe come back next year, but they were way overranked. They were averaging like 290 yards per game. That's pathetic. You do not belong in the top 15 if you cannot get first downs. So they lost. They fell to where they should be. This is actually where the team belongs. Very good team, and they will still have a very good year. Coming in at 19, we have Tennessee. So Tennessee is moving up 2 spots here. They did beat Kentucky. Very close game, very physical game, but they pulled the win out 33-27. So even though they don't have the weapons they had last year, this is still a really competitive team. Josh Heupel has completely changed the way they're calling plays. Whereas last year they were a pass-heavy team. This year they are a run-first team with a decent defense. So they're just a little different. Joe Milton, there's still a lot of question marks there. But this is a 20-25 team. So they belong to be ranked. They're 19 right now, so they're pretty close to 20. But I have said the whole year, this is a 20-25 team. With them being at 19, that is perfectly fine with me. Moving up 3 spots at number 20, we have the UCLA Bruins beating Colorado. Really physical game. They beat up Colorado bad. Not score-wise, but physically-wise. But they did win 28-16. They moved up 3 spots, having a very strong year. They've been flip-flopping with the quarterbacks, but both have been playing well. The thing that they're doing is they're running the ball. They're playing really tough defense. That D-line has looked really good. So props to Chip Kelly here, having a very good season. He's kind of changed the way that he's coaching, whereas he used to be an offensive first team. But now that they're going into the Big 12, they are definitely building up that D-line. So they are right where they should be. This is a 20 to 25 team. I do not think they should really be any higher right now, but they're a 20 to 25 team, just like Tennessee. Coming in at 21, we have Tulane, 7-1. They moved up one spot. Their only loss was to Ole Miss, and they did not have Pratt that week, and they barely lost that game, so they could potentially be undefeated right now. But they had a really strong win versus Rice. That was a really close game. They let Rice back in it because they had a pretty big lead, but Rice came back second half, scored some touchdowns, but they did get the win. You know, this is a 24 to 25 team. They probably have another loss coming here, so they'll drop out of the top 25. But still, a really good season for Tulane, kind of following up with that good year that they had last season when they went 12-2. Coming in at 22, we have Kansas. So Kansas came in. Well, they had Oklahoma come into their house, and they beat them. I said, watch out for Kansas. This is a really tough team. Yeah, they lost to Texas, but they're still having a really good season. They are 6-2. They are ranked for the second time this season. Props to them. They belong to be ranked. They beat a top 6 team, so they definitely deserve to come back into the top 25. Coming in at 23, we have James Madison. So James Madison, I think I projected the score like a 30 to 28, and it was a 30 to 27. So really close there, really high scoring team. Definitely should have went with the over there, but that's what I said to go with. But they are 8-0. They moved up 2 spots. Will they finish the year undefeated? I don't think so. I don't know if it really matters, but if they lose one, then they'll get pushed out of the top 25. But still, having a really good year, so welcome back into that top 25 and staying in there to James Madison. Coming in at 24, we have USC. They didn't move up. They didn't move down. They are 7-2. What a pathetic performance they had this past weekend. So USC beat Cal 50-49. 99 points. That's crazy. They were down 14 points in the fourth quarter, and obviously Caleb Williams got them some touchdowns. They won the game. But that's pathetic. They almost lost to Cal, and they had a shootout with Cal. It's getting to the point to where Alex Grinch and this defense, they've gotten worse every single week since Lincoln Riley was hired. The roster on paper has gotten better, but the defense is a complete laughingstock. They are a joke. I love Lincoln Riley. He is from the Mike Leach tree. Great coach. What is he doing? Does he not care about defense at all? Because that's completely holding this team back, and he's wasted Caleb Williams. So some people wanted them to get kicked out of the top 25. I don't think that should have happened. They are 7-2 in the Pac-12, which is the deepest conference. So give them props, but this is where they belong, at number 24, and that's not good enough. Coming in at 25, who was unranked, Kansas State. So Kansas has 2 teams ranked. They are 6-2. Props to them for coming in. They have some really strong wins this year. They have a really close loss versus Missouri. That was that 60-something yard field goal to win the game. But welcome into the top 25, Kansas State. Some teams just outside. We have Oklahoma State, who has the matchup with Oklahoma this weekend. I think they're 6-2 right now, so they're having a pretty strong year because they started out pretty bad. We have UNC. They got dropped out of the top 25. Crazy. They were number 10. They lose twice right out of the top 25. Liberty 47, Fresno State, Miami, Arizona, Toledo, and Rutgers. Dropping out, we have UNC and Duke. Duke, they could potentially get back in. UNC has some defensive issues. But nonetheless, that's my breakdown of the AP Poll Top 25 for Week 10. Go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. Thanks.